I was looking forward to Cassidy Barr preaching again this morning, and I'm sorry that she's not preaching for us, and I'm glad to be here with you. Before I read our gospel or our New Testament passage, I'd like to share a book I've been reading called Shameless by Nadia Bolz-Weber. It is subtitled A Sexual Reformation, and it is a look at one congregation's kind of journey in coming to a different understanding of the gift of sexuality, a shame-free, a shameless understanding of sexuality. So many of the passages we read in the New Testament, especially, that refer to sexual practices or sexual morality, sometimes have been interpreted through kind of a shame-based lens, which is not helpful to our well-being collectively, to our mental health, I would say. And so I recommend this as an awesome resource if you're interested in reading it. And that said, the passage we're going to hear this morning is one of those passages that runs the risk of being interpreted as a pretty judgmental passage. What I invite you to receive from it, the Holy Spirit will let you receive whatever you're going to receive from it. But what I'm hearing in it is this truth that every experience that we have as an individual is something somebody else has experienced before. Maybe not exactly the way you or I have experienced it, but we've all got common experiences, common joys, common sorrows. And I think the more we remember that, the more fully we can connect with Scripture and with one another. 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verses 1 to 13. I do not want you to be unaware, brothers and sisters, that our ancestors were all under the cloud, and all passed through the sea, and all were baptized into Moses in the cloud and the sea, and all ate the same spiritual food, and all drank the same spiritual drink. For they drank from the spiritual rock that followed them, and the rock was Christ. Nevertheless, God was not pleased with most of them, and they were struck down in the wilderness. Now these things occurred as examples for us, so that we might not desire evil as they did. Do not become idolaters, as some of them did. As it is written, the people sat down to eat and drink, and they rose up to play. We must not indulge in sexual immorality, as some of them did, and 23,000 fell in a single day. We must not put Christ to the test, as some of them did, and were destroyed by serpents. And do not complain, as some of them did, and were destroyed by the destroyer. These things happened to them to serve as an example, and they were written down to instruct us, on whom the ends of the ages have come. So if you think you are standing, watch out that you do not fall. No testing has overtaken you that is not common to everyone. God is faithful and will not let you be tested beyond your strength. But with the testing, God will also provide the way out, so that you may be able to endure it. This is a lectionary text for this week, and it's the text Cassidy chose, and I want to honor it. And it's a great example of the Apostle Paul speaking to a congregation in Corinth about 1,900 years ago, a little more, a little less. And we've got to hear it together through the lens, or see it together through the lens of our experience today. May God bless our study of this passage and this time together in the sermon. I pray. The line, God will not let you be tested beyond your strength is just one of the things that is prickly for me about this passage, because I think that a more helpful way of understanding that idea is to say, God won't let you be tested beyond your strength, but life will. Life will give us lots of tough stuff. Life does give us lots of material that makes us want to cry and hold our fists up, pound something, dress in sackcloth and ashes, weep and gnash our teeth, complain. Life gives us a lot of tough experiences. And isn't it beautiful, these words at the end of the passage, that with the testing, God will provide the way out so that we will be able to endure it. As we look at the United Methodist social principles, and today as we look at this principle of mental health and how the church desires to be a place where mental health is supported, and that we desire a community and a state, a nation, and a world where mental health is available to people, or resources for being as self-determined and as healthy as possible are available to all people, to people experiencing mental illness, to those who may not have a diagnosed mental illness, but still who struggle, because we all do. We all struggle from time to time. So I think that a great gift of this passage is this idea of thinking about how God provides a way out for us so that we can endure tough stuff. More specifically, community, I think, provides a way through for us. How do we leverage the gift of this church community, the gift of the relationships we have in Sunday school classes, just friendships, the gift that we have in sharing this wonderful space with people from our community, the gift that we have in friendships that we enjoy outside of the church, in all parts of our lives? How do we use the gift of those relationships to help one another experience more mental health, more wellness and joy, and more appreciation for the struggle of illness, and for the resilience and the courage and just the endurance it takes to experience mental illness, and to offer love and support for our friends who do, and to receive that support when I am the person experiencing it, or when you are. Our Methodist social principle from the Book of Discipline on mental health is longer than I'm going to read right now, but I'm going to read us the first paragraph and the last sentence of that article, or that part from our United Methodist Book of Discipline. It says, "The World Health Organization defines mental health as a state of well-being in which the individual realizes his or her own abilities, can cope with the normal stresses of life, can work productively and fruitfully, and is able to make a contribution to his or her community. The United Methodist Church pledges to foster policies that promote compassion, advocate for access to care, and eradicate stigma within the church and in communities." So not only do we want, as United Methodists, to support the realization of potential and support through normal stresses of life, and we want everybody to be able to work productively and fruitfully, we also want to destigmatize conversation around mental illness and mental health. And we want to create spaces that are brave, where we can share about our struggles and where we can share resources, and not just that, where we can advocate for social change, for greater funding, for addiction treatment, for all manner of mental health services for people of all ages. So we want a climate where that kind of conversation can happen, and where we're working together in using our influence in whatever ways we can to advocate for good policy and good changes and better funding for our communities and our state to enjoy better health. I like to think of mental health as cultivating a sense that there's a hidden wholeness inside each one of us. And sometimes when I'm well rested and my needs are marvelously met, and I've heard a good joke, and I've been around people I love, and I've been having a good time, maybe my wholeness then is more visible to you. And maybe sometimes when you've been in that same great space, whatever that looks like for you, maybe then your wholeness is more visible to all of us. And maybe there are times when I've messed up and I've done one dumb thing and then another dumb thing, and then I've just said things that just frustrate me further, and maybe somebody is hurt as a result of a conversation I've had. Then maybe you're not seeing my wholeness as much. Maybe if you're in that same space, maybe I'm not seeing your wholeness as much, but it doesn't mean it's not there. As people created in the image of God, that image is always there. That wholeness is always there. So maybe mental health and our pursuit of it together is that quest to help each other see ourselves and one another in our best light, as our wholest selves. And it's okay not to be seen as our wholest self. It's okay to feel bad. It's okay to be in a down space. It is okay to be depressed, to be mad, to hold a point of view that distances one from someone else. Conflict is okay. These are all parts of the human experience. It's all okay. And how we hold that space and live in that space together is our great gift as church and community. I want to close with a story by Rachel Naomi Raymond. She's a writer, and she's worked a lot in the field of healthcare, in advocating for mind-body health, for holistic health of the whole person. This is a story that I heard secondhand on the show called On Being with Krista Tippett. She told it this week in an interview she did with Rabbi Lawrence Kushner. So Rachel Naomi Raymond is Jewish, and this is a story she told that she received from her Jewish grandfather. In the beginning of time, there was only holy darkness, the source of life. And then, in the course of history, at a moment in time, this world, the world of 1,000 things, emerged from the heart of the holy darkness as a great ray of light. And then, maybe because this is a Jewish story, says Rachel, there was an accident. And the vessels holding that light broke. And the wholeness of the world broke. And the wholeness of the world and the light of the world was scattered into 1,000 fragments of light. And this light fell into all events and all people, where they remain hidden deeply until this very day. The whole human race is a response to this fracturing of the light, this accident. We're all here because we're born with the capacity to find the hidden light in all events, in all people, and to lift it up and make it visible once again, and thereby to restore the wholeness of the world. How will you cherish and live in your wholeness this week? How will you search for that light that's hidden maybe in somebody else? Or how will you benefit from that light that is currently blazing in someone else? How will we share that light together this week as we seek to be a community that supports the state of well-being in which the individual realizes his or her own abilities, copes with the normal stresses of life, works productively, and is able to make a contribution to the community? Let's join in our response, the affirmation of faith, the social creed.
Of community, sexuality, marriage, and the family. We commit ourselves to the rights of men, women, children, youth, young adults, the aging, and people with disabilities, to improvement quality of life, and to the rights and dignity of all persons. We believe in the right and duty of persons to work for the glory of God and the good of themselves and others, and in the protection of their welfare in so doing. In the rights to property as a trust from God, collective bargaining, and responsible consumption, and in the elimination of economic and social distress. We dedicate ourselves to peace throughout the world, to the rule of justice and law among nations, and to individual freedom for all people of the world. We believe in the present and final triumph of God's Word in human affairs, and gladly accept our commission